Hey everyone, I have your multiple choice part of your Unit 2 review here, so I'd like you to go through this video and be checking your answers and your work. Number 1 says, what's the value of the expression below? So -2 plus -5. So when we add two negatives, our answer will be negative, and we just add the two numbers together, so the answer is -7. Number 2 says, Brad played a game with his sister. In the first round, he scored 18 points. In the second round, he scored -7 points. What was his overall score? So we're going to add these two numbers together. 18 plus -7, so we have numbers that have opposite signs, so we're going to subtract in our head. 18 minus 7 is 11, and 18 is the bigger number and it's positive, so our answer is +11. Which of the following expressions have a positive sum or difference? Circle all that apply. So as I look through this problem, I see some subtraction. So I'm going to go ahead and change my subtraction problems to adding the opposite. And so I'm looking for any expressions that give a positive answer. So letter A would give me a negative because the 9 is bigger than the 6. Letter B would give me a negative because they're both negative. Letter C, I will get a positive because the 9 is bigger than the 6 and it's positive. Same thing with letter D. C and D are now the same problem. Letter E, we're going to get a negative because we're adding two negatives, and letter F, we will get a positive because we are adding two positives. Number 4 says, which of the following expressions have a value of 15? Circle all that apply. So again, I see some subtraction. I'm going to go through and add the opposite on the subtraction problems. So I need to get a value of 15. So number 1 is 2 plus -17. That's -15, so that's not correct. Letter B, -6 plus 21, opposite signs, so I subtract. Answer is +15. Letter C, adding two negatives, so I'll get a negative. Letter D, 12 plus 13 is 15. Letter E, we have -10 and 25, so those are opposite signs, so I need to subtract, and I will get +15. The 25 is bigger than 10. Letter F, we're adding two negatives, so we would get a negative number. So the answers are B, D, and E. Moving over to question 5, the high temperature on the day was 28 degrees. The low temperature for the same day was -4 degrees. What was the difference between the high and low temperature? So difference means we're going to subtract. So 28 minus -4. So here we have a subtraction problem. We want to add the opposite, and we get 32 degrees. Number 6, we are adding two negative fractions, so we need to get a common denominator. Make sure that you don't lose your negative sign. 7 and 3 have a common denominator of 21. So I multiply by 3 here, -6 on top, multiply by 7 here, -14 on top. -6 plus -14, those are both negative, so I'm going to add them together and get -20 over 21, or letter A. Number 7 says, Carissa liked to measure the snowpack at her house. On Tuesday, the snowpack was 6 inches deep. On Wednesday, 2.5 inches had melted. How much snowpack was left? So here, this is going to be a subtraction problem. We're subtracting 2.5 from 6. Now this type of subtraction isn't super difficult if you want to do it without changing your numbers to improper fractions. If I subtract 2 from 6, that leaves me with 4 inches, and then I need to subtract another half, so that would be 3.5 inches. If you did it by getting a common denominator, I'm going to go ahead and add the opposite also. That would be 5 over 2, or -5 over 2. So getting a common denominator of 2, I would multiply this fraction top and bottom by 2. 12 plus negative 5 is 7, so we get 7 over 2. And then you can also see how that's 3.5. Number 8, asking for the value of the expression. We're subtracting fractions. I'm going to go ahead and add the opposite. So I need a common denominator. It's going to be 10. So my second fraction doesn't change. My first fraction, I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 2. So I have negative 4 tenths plus negative 7 tenths. That's negative 11 tenths. You'll notice they don't leave answers improper, and so negative 11 tenths is negative 1 1/10. Number 9 says Kazi had $156 in his bank account. He wrote a check for $170.50. What will his account balance be when the check is cashed? So the 156 is positive, and when you write checks, that's like taking money out of the bank or subtracting. I'm going to go ahead and change this to adding the opposite. So now I have two numbers with opposite signs. I need to subtract them. I'm going to put the bigger number on top. Need to borrow. So we get $14.50, but remember that the bigger number was negative, so our answer is negative, negative $14.50. He wrote the check for more than he had in his account, so his account will be in the negative. Finally, question 10 says that Jasmine jumped from a diving board 10.5 feet off the ground into a pool. She touched the bottom of the pool, which was 8.2 feet deep. What is the difference between Jasmine's highest and lowest points? So again, we want to start with our biggest number, 10.5. And we're going to calculate the difference, so we're going to subtract. We have to be careful here because we're 8.2 feet underwater. So that's going to be a negative number to describe that situation. So now I want to add the opposite, 10.5 plus 8.2. So I have two positive numbers, and I'm just going to stack them up and add. And we get 18.7 feet. Once you're finished with this video, you're going to pick up the second page to the Unit 2 review. Please staple these two pages together. You will need to work on that second page. Get that done while you're in class today. We will quickly go over the answers or any questions you might have tomorrow before we take the test. And then finally, there is also some Khan Academy that has been assigned to you. Remember that we are testing on Thursday, so be prepared.